All right. So I'm going live, and Facebook was not cooperating today. So Facebook is not going to get a live today, unfortunately. But I have like 3 different devices that I'm trying to maneuver here. All right. So I see that I'm live on YouTube, I'm live on Instagram, and I'm live on LinkedIn. And today we're going to be talking about how to handle an IRS audit. And we are still in our 12 days of Taxmas. So if you're on our mailing list, then you already got the email talking about our day 4 of Taxmas. So the code you need today is Taxmas4. So if you want to get the link to our 12 days of Taxmas offers, you can DM me on Instagram, DM me the word Taxmas. Or 12 days, and you'll get that link automatically. If you're on our mailing list, you got that link sent to you this morning. Remember that you need the code TAXMIS4, and the discount today is going to be on my ebook that's called 10 Ways That You Can Handle Your Tax Issues. So you want to make sure that you are aware that there are ways that you can handle tax implications, any tax issues that you're dealing with. You can handle those. And I wrote an ebook on how to help you. And so that's what today's special is on. And so you can 10 ways to tackle your tax debt is the name of the ebook, and you'll get that. So today we're going to talk about how to handle an IRS audit. I'm going to walk you through some things that you probably need to know. But I'm going to start off by saying, who am I? My name is Atia Brown. I am the owner of the Savvy Accountant Firm, which is a CPA firm where we are savvy at solving your tax issues. And we say that we're savvy at solving your tax issues because we love all things tax. We want to make sure that you are proactive when it comes to your taxes. So you are creating a tax plan so that you can save on your taxes. But we also know with taxes, issues happen. So sometimes people fall behind, and we want you to know that we are there to help you get back on track. And so today I'm going to talk about how to handle an IRS audit. And first, I want to start off by saying I know audits are scary and they have a bad connotation, but I am here to tell you that if you do have to go through an IRS audit, it's not something that you should be ashamed of. It's not something that you should be afraid of either. While it's very stressful, you need to make sure that you understand the audit process and you understand what's going to be happening. So typically, they're going to be sending you notices, and a lot of times what we notice is that people ignore those notices until it becomes too late. So the IRS is actually going to send you notices, letting you know that they're looking into your file for whatever reason. And don't ignore those notices, because a lot of times you can actually respond to something, and it doesn't have to be you going in for an audit. A lot of times you could respond by sending something in, just faxing a document that they're requesting, and that's kind of how the process starts, right? So audits really I like to give a background of why audits happen, and mainly because I came from an audit background. So I worked in public auditing for 7 years, and audits really occur from the government standpoint. Back in the day, you used to have to submit all of your documents when you filed your taxes. So back when I started working, your tax return was like hefty, and because you would have to submit all of the backup with it and get it all there, file it, mail it in, all of that happened. Then we started evolving, and so now things are done electronically. So the government is not getting the backup that they used to get for all of these claims on your tax return. So from the government's standpoint, you have to realize that they have to cross their T's, dot their I's the same way that you would want to. And so with that, they now have to, perform audits in some situations to validate what's on the tax return. So sometimes an audit is not something that you need to be afraid of. It's really just them corroborating what you reported. And as long as you are, on the up and up and you're not trying to hide anything, you don't need to be afraid of what the audit is going to do. But some tips that I want to talk about when it comes to the audit process, is understanding that You just need to substantiate what they're looking for. You're going to need to make sure that you are organized and you keep accurate records. So, why organize and keeping accurate records is because what we tell people a lot of times, and I'll give you like a scenario in a few seconds, but what we tell people is when you're organized and everything is accurate and in place and you can get access to it easily, then your audit cannot be as stressful. You know what they need, you know what you're going to supply to them, and then you can actually do that. I like to tell people when you file your tax return, you don't need to submit all of the backup, right? So you can file your tax return based on your profit and loss numbers. We've talked about what profit and loss is on these lives, but you can file that. You're not submitting all of those invoices, right? So you can use your bank statements to submit your tax return. You can take your bank statements, comb through them, figure out what your revenues are, what your expenses are. You create, you know, profit and loss that's substantial. It's substantial for you to file your tax return. But I like to tell people this all the time. Your bank statement can be used to prepare your tax return, but it's not enough for you to use your bank statements as proof of backup. So I like to give this scenario for small business owners. Let's say you sent your assistant to Walmart and you were like, oh, I need you to buy a few things for the office from Walmart. And they come back and they say, here's my bank statement, and it shows Walmart and it showed that I spent $150 at Walmart. You are probably going to be like, okay, I understand that you went to Walmart on the day that I told you to go and you spent $150. But seeing the bank statement and seeing that 150 does not tell me what you bought at Walmart. So it doesn't tell me if you purchased what I asked you for plus things for yourself, or if what I asked you for really did come out to that 150. So the bank statement is not going to be sufficient to prove what was actually purchased. And that's why, for the government's purpose, you cannot use your bank statements as solely as your backup. You're going to need to have receipts that are going to substantiate what you're actually claiming as an expense. So just because your bank statement shows that you spent $500 that day, that doesn't mean that all 500 is a legitimate business expense. And so you need to be aware that you need to be the one that's keeping track of all of your invoices and receipts. And so long are the days of the shoebox accounting where you keep your receipts in a box and then you go through them at the end of the year. I don't know what they make the paper and the ink with any nowadays, but back in the day that worked. Nowadays, your receipt's gonna fade. It's like 90% of the time that receipt fades within a week of it being in your purse. So it's not gonna last in that shoebox. So get into the habit of creating a file system for your receipts that you need for your business, because that's just going to help you down the line. I like to give the tip of creating an email account that says bills or receipts at the Savvy Accountant, and get into the habit of creating that system where you snap a picture, you put in the subject line what this is for, the date will be there, and you've now created like a digital file system. So when you need to go back to see all of those receipts, you will be able to search in your email and then you'll be able to see all of those receipts. So that's a little tip that I like to give people. I find it's easy. And when you're using a cloud-based accounting software, you're able to attach those receipts to your cloud-based accounting software for each of those transactions. If you are a DIYer and you're really keeping on track of that, that's a good habit that you guys want to get into doing it, because the receipts are going to fade. The next thing I want to talk about is your rights and responsibilities during an audit. So a lot of times people don't realize that they have rights when it comes to an audit. You do have rights as a taxpayer. You have the right to have someone represent you when you're going to the audit. So that could be an attorney, of course, it could be a CPA, or it could be an EA, which stands for an enrolled agent. Those are the only three individuals, I don't know how to say individuals or industry people that can represent you before the IRS. So it could be an attorney, a CPA, or an EA. So if your tax professional that's working with you, filing your tax returns, isn't one of those three, they won't be able to actually represent you before the IRS in an audit. So you need to be aware that you can have one of those three people represent you. You need to be aware that you have rights to there's due process that's going to be followed, so they have to stick to those. They're not able to talk any kind of way to you. They're not able to disrespect you or infringe on any of your rights. And there is a taxpayer's advocate line and information, so you can go and see if you felt like you were mistreated or mishandled in your audit process. And the fourth thing I want to talk about when it comes to how to handle an IRS audit is knowing when and how to seek a tax professional. So, because I just told you about those three people that can represent you, you want to make sure that when you're getting notices, you start to open them. That's the first thing. And I know it sounds like, well, duh, but people get nervous when they get letters from the IRS. And the first thing they do is try to throw them away. And I'm telling you, that is not the right thing to do because the problem is not going to go away. So open the notices. And if it's something, because sometimes when you open the notices, you see that they just wanted, oh, they just want me to submit this form again. And it's something that's quickly solvable. But sometimes you might not understand the notice. So that's the time where I think you should reach out to a professional, one of those three that I stated. So an attorney, a CPA, or an EA. Those are the three that are able to represent you, and reach out to them, let them know what your situation is, and see if they recommend that you sign up and as a client with them, or if it's something that they say, oh, we can handle this in a one-time meeting and we can handle calling the IRS on your behalf, all of that stuff. But what you need to know is that you need to open those notices and you need to figure out if you need to be reaching out to someone to help you with your situation or not. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this gave you guys some ease when it comes to dealing with an IRS, an audit, because I know that audits are scary and they have like a negative connotation and people get really nervous when it comes to them, but I'm here to let you know that everything is figure outable. And as long as you are working with a professional that's going to help you and you are understanding that they can help you in your situation, you should be good to go. And so I wanted to jump on for our daily tax talks and talk about how to handle an IRS audit. If you guys can tell, I like to do things in sections, categories, sticking to themes. So we talked about tax prep, and I talked about tax prep a lot. And typically, we offer our tax services if you sign up before the end of the year, then you're going to get a special offer. So you guys can find out what that offer is by clicking the link in my bio. But that was tax prep. Now we're going to talk about tax debt and how to handle tax debt. So that's going to be the topic for the next few days. So we'll be tackling some tax debt issues. And so join me tomorrow as we talk about back taxes and tax debt and how to deal with that. But don't forget, today on day 4 is of 12 days of Taxmas, you have your code of Taxmas4, and that's going to give you a discount on 10 ways to tackle your IRS tax debt. And so you guys can get that ebook and see how you guys are able to handle your tax debt on your own if you guys wanted to look in ways that you can do it on your own. So I hope you guys enjoyed this live. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and I will see you tomorrow as we continue our daily tax topics. All right, bye.